So today I spoke with Eva, a lady I've had on before, and a modest lady. She doesn't really talk herself up, but she does a fantastic job for the community in Salisbury. She has and runs Share Salisbury. It's a library of things that you can bring, take, and borrow. And yeah, I caught up with her. And what was great, amongst other things, not just talking about that, is actually we just went off topic and spoke about lots of things. And there was even a little glitch towards the end where everything crashed and you suddenly realize I'm just talking again and reloading up everything. And these are often my favorite podcasts, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hello and welcome back. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's felt like a long time since I've been chatting to you.
I thought that as well, but when I looked back, it was April last year.
Yeah.
And
what
I was
has
just,
happened?
well, hopefully to hear, hoping to hear all about that. But I was the same as you. For some reason, I don't know why. I thought it was longer than April last year. Although saying that, in my head, I thought it was like it was about 2 years ago. But I don't actually think I've been doing the podcast for 2 years. So that just wouldn't have been possible. But it was just like, it's literally only just over a year ago, because you and I kind of arranged to do this about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So how long, when I first spoke to you last April then, how long had Share Salisbury been running for?
So I think as of April, we were kind of in the setting up phase. So we hadn't officially opened. Yeah. So yeah, now it's a real thing. It's weird.
And how has it been? Because it does seem to just be getting better or bigger and bigger, more and more successful.
Yeah, it's been a very busy year. So the kind of first year we wanted to test the waters and see if it was something that the community of Salisbury would get on board with, if it would be useful, if it would be used. And the first year has kind of proved that it has been. So quite chuffed with that, really. So we went probably last April. We were in the process of pack testing electrical items, painting shelving, making shelving, and doing all that kind of hands-on setting up. And we officially opened June 2021. So we're kind of a year and a month over since opening, and yeah, we've had lots of people signing up for online accounts with us. I think we're at about 442 people signed up with an online account.
Crikey.
So yeah.
And is that still like a monthly fee?
So we have options available. So the 442 people are people who are able to reserve things online. We have a one-off borrower membership, so you don't need to pay a monthly fee. You can just come in and pay the price that's advertised on the website. But we also have memberships. So we've got about 60 monthly paying members, and about half of those are on standard membership and the other half are on our low income membership. So that's £12 for the year for low income and £4 a month for standard. And I've just kind of changed it up. After the year, we decided to make all the borrows free. So before there was kind of a bit of a calculation and you got reduction on the items.
Yeah.
And because of all the things that are happening, cost of living crisis, and also just to make things easier to calculate for people, we've chosen to allow people who are paying monthly to borrow things for free, and that's proven quite popular as well.
That's pretty good though, because I've seen like some of the items and stuff that you have, and it's everything from lawnmowers to telescopes.
Oh yes.
Go on.
Such a random variety. A lot of it I'd like to think is useful. Some of it is potentially less useful, but it's very useful at the moment that you need that random thing. So Yeah, telescopes, carpet cleaners, pressure washers. Some of the more obscure ones, we have a compression aid. So put compression socks on.
Yeah.
So it's like it. And then we have bunting and jigsaws and kids' toys, and yeah, some borrowed more than others.
I can imagine. What are the popular borrowed items?
So the top of the list is our carpet cleaner.
Yeah.
Then second up is probably our pressure washer, which is very popular, and it's quite a small one, but it's really powerful. So that's a good one. And we have had a lot of our gazebos that have been flying out the doors over the last kind of couple of months as well.
Actually, yeah, gazebos would be a good one because, I mean, although gazebos are relatively cheap, if you don't actually need one, it's still a waste of money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to sit in a shed and not be used. So actually, I wouldn't have thought about a gazebo. But yeah, for a one-off event, a family weekend or something, or a barbecue or something like that. That's pretty cool. What do you have anything that nobody's borrowed yet?
Other than the compression sock aid, it's weird. So I would say we've had like 96 wine glasses in the library of things, and I've been kind of carefully trying not to smash them as I move them around. And they hadn't been borrowed until, and it's when I say it hasn't been borrowed, then someone borrows it, and I go, what? So yeah, they've just gone out for a party and they've been booked for one in the future. So yeah, anything else that hasn't been borrowed? Gosh, I can't think now. There's probably loads of stuff that sat there. Some of the things we have had to release and sell on because people weren't borrowing them and we needed the shelf space. Yeah, I can't think of anything else right now.
Yeah, because I suppose that's the other thing is, how big is your unit now?
So we've added another shelf. So it's not massive. We've got kind of like basically we're in Wessex Community Actions unit who are on Churchfield. So it's kind of an industrial unit. We're kind of borrowing a quarter of it. So whatever can fit on the shelves is how much space we have. We are kind of nearing to maximum capacity at the moment, but I was quite chuffed. I tidied some of the shelf earlier and managed to Tetris it all in, and I freed up half a shelf, and I was like, we have half a shelf free. What am I going to put on it? Little things excite me.
But it's almost, that's everyone's kind of level of home excitement, isn't it? I had a stack load of PCR tests and they're out of date, and I put them in the bin, and I seen the space on my desk, and I was just like, oh my God. And it took me 5 minutes to put some notepads there. And it's just like you get so excited about just making space. There's a lady called, I think, Organised Vicky, I've seen her on a TV program. I used to follow her on Instagram, and that's what she does for a living. She makes a living at helping people organise space, and it's basically just common sense tidying up. But she'll add in some nice boxes, some pretty jars, and come up with a really sensible system. You're like, why didn't I do that with my socks? That's so easy.
Oh yeah, the thing with me is that I'll get it to that point and I'll be like, oh, it's all nice and tidy, and I'm looking at my desk now, and good thing you can't see it because it's everywhere, but I get it all nice and tidy and I love it, but it's only tidy for like a week, and then I'm just like, oh, I'll just shove that in a drawer. And
my desk is an absolute mess. Right, because I showed you a second ago, just before we started, my coffee machine, because I like showing that off. But there's actually on my desk to my right, apart from my phone, I for some reason I always have lots of little jotting pads to write notes on, and they're not tidy. And then there's a book, and I've got like a stack of books, and this is really random, and I've only just noticed this. For some reason, there's a pair of Levi 501s in the middle of the books. It's like I must have put it there for a reason. I've never got around and then put books on top of it. And to the left is just there's an old bottle of Bailey's that I've never opened, which I think is out of date, and 30 meters of internet cable because I'm hardwired to the internet to the house. So yeah, my desk is an absolute travesty, you know. But as long as it looks neat and tidy behind me, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So how have you not drunk this Bailey's yet?
I'm somebody that has a reputation for drinking but doesn't actually drink much, and I can go years without ever drinking, and like literally be teetotal for years, or just drink once every 2 or 3 months at a social event or something like that. But I used to, when I was younger, I used to drink a lot, and then I just got bored of it. And yeah, I just somehow ended up with a bottle of Causeway Coast Irish Country Cream. So it's from Ireland, I guess. And yeah, just never got around to it. I've never even got around to opening it.
No.
Oh, I know, it's crazy.
I like that. That's my kind of Christmas beverage. So around Christmas, we have a bit. But
I did used to drink it. Yeah, that's. I used to drink Bailey's a lot. It used to be my go-to drink. So it's probably just an outstanding bottle, just in a pile of money.
Although I've learnt you can't drink too much and too fast with Bailey's, because I missed the New Year's Eve once because of that.
What, the entire just wiped it out.
Yeah, luckily it was a party that we're having at our house, but I didn't see the new year come in because
just for clarification, how many hours did you make it before somebody noticed you were no longer there?
Oh, I think I remember someone coming in and being like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I think that was probably about 10:30, 11, which is very sad, isn't it?
It's not bad, but if somebody has to ask, are you okay? No.
Yeah.
You're not. So when you're not making New Year's Eve, and what's looking forward, how do you want it? Are there plans to expand, plans to change?
Yeah, so there's nothing set in stone just yet, but I have big visions of where I want Share Salisbury to be in the future. And that is kind of blue sky thinking. I want it to be in a kind of setting where it has a waste-free shop next to it, and it's got a nice cafe, and it's kind of a bit of a hub where people from the community can go and they can get their things to borrow, they can go and have a coffee, they can get their waste-free shopping and things like that. But I think that's kind of maybe further down the line.
But like you say, if you don't put that kind of blue sky thinking in, it never happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can't. It just, the dream and the ambition can never happen if you don't actually put it down on a piece of paper, sort of thing, and think, right, this is what I'd love. This is a goal. And just what is waste-free shopping?
Right, so it's for example, places like Blueberry Den in Salisbury is a shop where you can get refill, pastas, grains, nuts, things like that, or for example, cleaning solution or washing up liquid, and you can get it refilled. It basically cuts out the plastic waste or single-use plastics, and that's kind of the kind of setting that I'd like it to be in. Because obviously, when you're borrowing things, you're not creating the waste from the plastic packaging and things like that. So it kind of fits quite nicely together, I think.
No, it does. It does fit nicely. It's one of those kind of strange ones. I find it amusing's the wrong word, but I kind of things like you notice. You start to when you get things are full circle, because I grew up in an era where you took your glass bottles back to the shop and got 10p back, you know, and now we recycle bottles, and people are like, oh well, now we recycle bottles. It's like, well, we used to as well, we just got paid for it, whereas now you're doing it for free. In
Yeah.
fact, they come and collect them, which is diesel, and they charge it to your community tax, your council tax and stuff, whereas we used to do it off our own back and take them back to the shops ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me how the ways that we're kind of taking things that we used to do anyway. Like, so I grew up in an era, like when I was a kid, I don't ever remember people having plastic bags anyway. Everyone just took their own bags and shopping trolleys. Every grandma had a shopping trolley. But actually, most people did. Lots of people did. Plastic bags and stuff came along much later, and everyone just kind of had reusable cotton bags. It was just a thing that everybody had, and little bags that folded up and put in your pocket. So this idea of kind of waste-free is like, that's pretty much how I remember things anyway.
It is weird, isn't it? It's like, at what point did we think, let's package everything and put everything in plastic? Because even I bet your fruit and veg never came in like plastic bags or anything like that.
When I was a kid, there was two things that was massively different to today. The first one was everything was seasonal. Most fruit and veg was grown in this country, and it was all seasonal. So, like, strawberries was for the summer, a period for about a month in the summer. That was it. Oranges, satsumas and tangerines, they were pretty much a Christmas product. Apples tended to be a bit more all year round. I remember oranges, and I vaguely remember, I'm pretty sure bananas were pretty consistent as well, but that's most likely because of where they came from. So that was the first thing that I remember that is massively different. Vegetables was seasonal, and that was it. Salads was for the summer, cabbage was for the winter, and nothing was packaged. You couldn't buy anything. Nobody would dream of putting out packaging. Everything was just loose, and you typically put it in paper bags, and they're all typically brown paper bags. Weighed it and then took it with you. But people shopped a lot differently as well, because shops weren't open on a Sunday and closed on a Wednesday afternoon.
See,
banks, post offices, shops typically weren't open on a Wednesday afternoon.
I didn't know that. How random.
Yeah, and everything was closed, and except for convenience stores like your little corner shops, pubs and restaurants were the only things that were allowed to be opened on a Sunday. And you had to, by law, be paid time and a half for working a Sunday. And bank holidays.
Go back.
This is the thing, though. This is the crazy thing. Everybody goes on about work-life balance. We had it.
Yeah.
We had it in law. Blame B&Q.
Yeah, who let us get here?
B&Q. It was illegal to do it, and B&Q started opening on a Sunday, and were making so much money they could afford to pay the fines.
Right.
So,
dear.
Do you blame B&Q or do you blame people for going shopping?
B&Q, definitely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to go shopping if it wasn't open.
And then they started doing things like supermarkets were given alcohol licenses. Before then, it was only off licenses. Had to be specialist areas. And that's when, and you had all your community stuff. Because it's funny that everyone keeps going on about going community, and it was actually the community that broke the community.
We did it to ourselves.
We did. Honestly, it's so tragic. We did do it to ourselves.
If only we could have seen what it was like. Because, I'm very much a believer that on a Sunday, I don't want to do anything. I mean, if I see friends, if I see family, that's fine. But I'm begrudge working. I don't turn my computer on if I don't have to. And I think Sunday's the kind of day that I just do what I want. And hopefully the weather's nice and I can get in the garden. But yeah.
Like I said to you before we started, I'd just come back from Munich, and on a Sunday they have strict noise laws. So you're not allowed to do things like DIY. You're not allowed to mow the lawn. There's all these laws, like noise laws. So pretty much the only thing you're allowed to do is relax.
Love it.
Honestly,
Moving to Munich.
it was brilliant. I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. I had friends that lived there, so I just hung out with them, and it was nice walks, lake swimming on the Sunday. Yeah, so everything's sort of kind of like just chill out. It's crazy. It's quite amusing, some of the things that I saw, but just the much different way of living.
And now I'm intrigued. What did you see?
It's things like like because Munich is the Bavarian part of Germany, and they're famous for their lederhose and all that. It's the amount of people that actually do wear them.
Ah.
Yeah, because on Sunday they go out and do all of these like celebrations. They're very community orientated, and everyone just dresses in traditional dress. Wow. So you'll be on the train going somewhere, and about a third of the train, they're all dressed in the the traditional Bavarian gear with the hat and all that. And it's just like before you realise you see that much of it, you stop noticing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my god, this is like, because when I first got there, it's just like something going on, and then my friends, no, they just really embrace their culture. They really do love their culture, and they really do embrace it. And
yeah, we don't. Do we have anything like that? I don't think we really have a lot going on in.
No, we kind of lost our. Again, like we talk about, community, and you were talking about, the blue sky dreams of having somewhere where people can come and go, have their coffee, waste-free shopping, and so it's about bringing people into the, like you said, that hub. Mm-hmm. There's an old people's home in Amesbury, and they have a restaurant at the bottom, or a cafe type restaurant at the bottom that's open to the public. But all the residents have access to it as well. And it's a pay-in restaurant. I don't know exactly how they fund themselves, but it is a proper functioning, working kitchen and restaurant. And I had lunch with my mum there about a month ago, and you get a table. They did a lovely Thai green curry, and you just suddenly realise all these residents had turned up. And I think we turned up on fish and chip day, and it was round. You could barely get a table, and you realise that they've all just come in. The building, the restaurant is actually connected to the building, like part of the community, part of the old people's home. So there's just people wandering about all the time, and they just stop, come in, chat, say hello. Yeah, and I was just like, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, how social, because a lot of the time you can imagine people feel quite isolated if they're in a home, but actually if you give them a reason to come there, there'll be loads of people there. And
you can imagine sitting with your mum who talks to everybody and anyone. Like typical stereotype mum. By the time we'd finished, I'm sure half the people knew my date of birth, my age, where I was, my name, my passwords.
Yeah. Yeah, my mum's similar. I don't like going out with her anymore because she's like, oh, this is my daughter Eva, and she set up Chef Salisbury, and I'm like, oh, Mum, please.
Yeah, and here's my card. You're looking elderly. If there's any deaths coming, we do house clearances. We'll sift through the good stuff.
Oh.
So coming back to Chef Salisbury.
Oh yeah.
That. Yeah, and that little thing. What? Because you did this through the lockdowns, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
How difficult was that?
I fortunately was on furlough for a short period of time in lockdown, so I think I kind of decided, well, I've got a bit of time. I can't leave the house. I've got nothing else to do. I had business as an A-level, but I'd never really done anything with it. And when I had a bit of free time, I was just kind of making these plans. So the setup was kind of quite fun because it gave me something to do at a time where everything was a bit up in the air and a bit scary.
Yeah.
Opening during lockdown was also a bit scary because it was still at the point where, like, is this ever going to go away? Are people ever going to be going out and about, or is the world going to be completely different? So it was a bit of a risk in that sense. But kind of now we're on, I say we're on the other side of it. There's a massive upturn in COVID cases, but I think we're kind of a bit more used to living with it. So
we're more accepting of it.
Yes, yeah.
It's happened, and we're not actually going to be able to control it or do anything. So
yeah,
we've kind of got to get on with it, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly that. So it was difficult, but fortunately we're not all still in lockdown, and we're not still trapped in our houses. And actually the fact that people, I think, were craving social things, community things, having parties, so we have the perfect stuff for that. So I think out of lockdown, a lot of people are now planning parties, and they come to us and borrow things. So actually it's worked quite nicely that people are starting to know we're there as well, which is good.
Are there any businesses you'd like to link up with?
Oh, so we have a couple of businesses / social enterprises that we're already kind of linked in with, including, so we've recently, in the last year, I probably should have said this as well, we've developed into running toy swaps. So along with Quench, who are also on Churchfield's industrial estate, we plan events in half terms, so children can come and bring their old toys that they no longer play with. They basically get a choice of any of the toys that we have in the hall. They can just pick them up for free. So that's kind of a really nice link that we've got going on, because it was something that I'd wanted to start a while back and didn't have the energy, didn't have the time, didn't have the space. And Rachel from Quench just came in and said, I've been thinking about doing a toy swap, and it's kind of along the same lines of the kind of things that you do. I thought it might be quite a good connection. I was like, yes, I am up for that. So we've done like 3, and it's been really popular. It's brilliant because I think the kids don't have that opportunity to pick up stuff that they want. Usually if there's a toy in a shop, it's probably too expensive, or their parents don't want to buy it. And just them being able to have free reign of anything that's there. I've gone off on a tangent.
No, that's cool. Because so just to clarify, what does Rachel at Quench do? What is that?
So Rachel is one of their employees who is, I think she's community engagement. I've probably got that completely wrong. So Quench is, part of it is a church and part of it is a social enterprise, but they have a massive hall which is perfect for laying out all the toys in. They used to have a cafe, but that's recently shut, but I think it's probably going to open up again at some point in the future. But they are they're neighbours of ours, because obviously we're in Churchfields, they're over the road, and it's kind of that perfect kind of connection. They want to help support people who might not have money. And again, we're kind of wanting to help support people that might not have enough to buy the new toys. But yeah, it's the last one we run. I think we sold 7. Well, I say sold; it was free. We had 75 people register, and every time we've run them, there's been more and more people, and yeah, it's just really brilliant to have that kind of connection, and they're quite close by and great people as well.
I like that though, because toys are, as a kid, you love your toys, but there is nothing more interested than a toy you don't have.
Exactly.
It's just like, and I could have turned up with a bundle of toys as a kid. And so, what are the rules for borrowing toys? Just I take it they're not allowed to be broken.
Yeah. So they come. This is it. So we've got a bunch of toys, or had a bunch of toys in Share Salisbury that we had available for people to borrow. That they weren't really being borrowed that much, which is why I started to think perhaps a toy swap would be better. Because I think I don't have kids, but I can only imagine the parents would be worried that the toys would get broken. and also the kids would want to play with them for longer and then be like, oh, you have to bring it back now. So I don't think borrowing toys is the right setup, but the swapping of them. So they basically just bring a big bundle of toys. They have to be clean, working, safe. And yeah, they just go into the kind of hall along with all the others, and the kids can pick up. We say up to 5 toys each, but we've just kind of got that as a vague.
You're not very strict at this, are you?
Yeah.
If that kid starts crying, you're like, okay, I'll help you to the car with that. It's fine. You can have 7. You don't bother putting that one back. No, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You didn't turn up with anything. It's fine. I don't have the heart to tell you no because you're crying.
Exactly. And do you know what? I think I must be scary to kids because the last couple, I'd be like, oh, hi, welcome, hope you're all right, like, pick your toys, and they just, like, hide, or, like, I made one kid cry. I'm like, I should probably just stay in the kitchen for these.
They should put you in Halloween-type makeup. You've obviously got that energy that kids are like, oh, my God, so you may as well make them shit themselves.
Yeah, you know? Might as well.
But that must be... I'm now fascinated with this, and I'm trying to think if I've got any toys just so I can go down there and swap them. Because as a kid, it's a great learning, because one of the hardest things as a child is when your parents say to you, you don't play with that anymore, do you? So you don't need it. But as a child, you don't own many things that are really yours. And you don't want to sort of like, you're like, no, I do play with it. You just don't see me playing with it. You know, even though your mum's just actually found it at the back of the couch. So the idea of being able to collect all these things and go and hand them over and get a load of new things in return, that's exciting for a kid. Mm-hmm. And it sets that early ethos of you don't have to own everything. You can share. It's okay for things to be temporary. So I think one of the things is, as you get older, like as adults, we all talk about it in wellness and mindfulness about how we attach ourselves to objects that have no meaning, and we hold on and that ethos of it's okay to let go of something and something comes back in return. It's a good way of teaching children that.
Definitely. I think I needed that when I was a kid. I mean, I've still got a whole chest full of teddies that I'm not quite ready to let go of. Is that weird? I'm like, I don't ever get them out. I don't ever like hug them and stuff like that. But it's weird, that connection between that's a memory from when I was a kid. And I don't think I'm ready to...
When you was a child, though, were they kind of out in display?
Yes.
Were they played? Right. So now they're just actually locked up in prison. So it's like, I'm not sure if this is like you revealed a dark side you weren't aware of, that you like keeping things that are precious to you in solitary confinement, or you just need help letting them go. But it is difficult, though, isn't it? Because it's childhood. It's childhood memories. And, that's why things like anything nostalgic is so precious. Because it takes you to a place where life was just simpler and easier, and you had dreams, and you could get excited about toy swaps.
Yeah.
I mean that's just great. As a kid, anything fate going around to another person. Why was dinner at someone else's house much more special than the dinner your mum cooked? It's just. Everything as a child, there's a point where life can be a big adventure. And that's probably what those teddy bears represent. Not that you like to keep precious things in solitary confinement.
Yeah, I like to lock them up. And do you know what?
You will never leave me.
Yeah, don't leave. I might release them into the toy swap one day. It's that the only place that I've found that takes things like cuddly toys on, really, are places like the Dogs Trust. And they're just going to get ripped to like pieces, and I can't do that to them.
And there's that one dog that's going to fancy them.
Oh no, I didn't even think of that.
I realised as soon as you said that, but you haven't thought about that bit, have you?
No, I just thought they'd have their head ripped off,
No. Some of those teddy bears are getting sweet loving.
Oh dearie me.
Your teddy bears are definitely not going there.
Oh no, scratch that off the list. Yeah, they're better in the prison in my room. That's fine.
Well, here's another, and I'm not trying to ruin this for you, but you know that there'll be a teddy bear you're not sure about, and that kid will come in that you don't like the look of, and they'll set their eyes on it, and you'll be like, and it'll be there. That'll be the one picture the Salisbury Journal gets, is you rugby tackling the kid and stealing the teddy bear back. It's mine. You're not having it.
Yeah, I can see myself doing that.
As you shout across the room, you look like a wrong'un. You can't have it.
Yeah.
So
Get off him.
maybe a good compromise is just get the teddy bears out of the case occasionally. Let them enjoy some fresh air and some light.
Yeah. Although someone will walk in and be like, what's she doing? Just playing with my teddies, you know, like you do.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. No, I don't think there's anything. If you've got things that you love, like toys or anything like that, I think as an adult you should enjoy them and embrace them. Yeah. To me, that'd be much better than just flicking through TV trying to find something to watch.
That is so true. Very true. I like it.
What would be the ideal premises setting then?
Oh,
because you're on an industrial estate at the moment, and there's quite a few businesses, unfortunately, that haven't survived the lockdown. There's quite a lot of empty spaces in Salisbury, and I'm not having a dig at charity shops, but at least something that you have actually is really quite useful and is much more community minded, and it would be nice to see more people getting involved in that.
Yeah, so, well, ideal premises, I don't think exists because I'm very picky, but it needs to be. So it needs to have space because a lot of the time we have marquees and gazebos that come back a bit soggy and there's nothing you can do about that. So we need a bit of space to dry some stuff off. Ideally, I would like a window shop front so people can actually see us, because the only people who come to Share Salisbury at the moment are people who know that we're there or have reserved stuff. A nice window display, but also parking. So we have like a big 6x4 marquee, and that is like 5 bags of giant poles, and we've got big boxes, and so it's not the kind of thing that you want in the centre of town where you've got to walk it across town to a car park. So, I mean,
that's a good point.
I don't think it exists.
That's a good point. The first place that sprung to mind was Fitness First by the library, because that's just shut down.
Yeah,
and that's on 2 floors with a big window front, and it's not too far from the Maltons car park.
That's not too far. I mean, we could be clever with like trolleys and stuff like that, but
there's definitely a way.
Yeah. Another place is, I quite like what's going on in Winchester Street at the moment. So that seems to be, I mean, the shops are relatively small and maybe too small for what we need, but there's loads of really cool independents popping up on there. There's Blueberry Den, which I've already mentioned, the waste-free shop. There's Sisters Wardrobe, Jams Ironwork. They're all kind of quite independent, quite interesting shops on that street. So I feel like that kind of vibe would suit Share Salisbury. And whether there's parking a window front, I'm not sure. Probably like loading parking, but
no, but it's a good point, because like you say, you wouldn't mind like a sort of a coffee shop as well. Maybe like a rentable room or space for community events. It's kind of, and like I said, the closer. Does it have to be in the centre of Salisbury? Probably not, but it does give you a good footfall of people that will walk past. I'm trying to think if there's a shop where we could set up a campaign to oust the owners.
BHS.
There you go. British Home Sauce.
Out.
That's going to be rammed.
There's no chance, but
no. But that's actually because I'm trying to think. George Mount. Anything in the George Mount was probably The rent is huge, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to rent the space you have now? Or are you kind of getting it as a community grant type space?
Yeah, they're really good. They've kind of given us the space, but where they are a charity as well, when we have money enough, we put donations in, but it's not necessarily like they charge us this amount rent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they've kind of allowed us to grow and see if it's something that would be taken on by the community, and it has been. So yeah, it's been really good to kind of test the waters in that space. But I do feel there is going to be kind of like an evolution and a next step, and just some footfall would be good. Like at the moment, even our neighbours are like, yeah, I didn't even know you were here. We've been there for almost a year now. So yeah.
But that's the most difficult thing about any business is getting people to think about you when they need you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, and not just with when they want to borrow stuff, but when people chuck stuff away, if it's in good working order, is how you get that mark down there, that when somebody's got something that's really deep, like very sadly, a friend of mine recently passed away, and there was a couple of guitars there, and I thought about you. And then I thought, I don't know if it's something you were going to do. And I was going to get in touch with you. But before I had the chance, somebody else took the guitars. And then literally about 2 weeks later, I seen you advertising guitars. I was like, damn, I had some guitar. I could have put claim on them straight away. But because I didn't know if you took them or not, I didn't want to say to the other guy helping me with the house, like, no, you can't have them because I want to check. Yeah. But I suppose it's coming up with a list of things that for people to, because if you've got because like guitars, they're a big investment, or keyboards. If your child's on about wanting to learn an instrument, and an opportunity to borrow one before you invest some money in something that they might not use.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you say that. So the guitar is one of the things that hasn't been borrowed yet. So that hasn't gone out. And we've more recently had a keyboard donated, which hasn't yet been borrowed. But it's working out whether it's because people don't know about it or because there's not an interest there. One thing that has been borrowed and requested for, and we managed to fulfill a request, is a ukulele. So someone said, oh, I really want to try playing a ukulele before I buy it. So that one, we kind of did a shout out and said, does anyone have a ukulele that they don't need anymore? And someone came forward, donated one, and he's now up playing ukulele for probably the last 2 months. And I'm quite interested when he comes back in how many songs he's learned. Or if
you want a little one-to-one recital, please? We've invited the neighbours round. We're going to have a little mini concert. Thank you very much. But because I think if something is on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or Gumtree or anything like that, then you could lend it to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that popped into my head is the thing that instantly, if I think my back's playing me up or something like that, I know where my chiropractor is.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been there for years, but I know where they are. I know they're still open. And I think it's just that little bit that every business struggles with, that first sort of 2 or 3 years, is how do I let people know we're there enough that you think of me first?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, it's really... It's in the news a lot lately about food banks. Now, if you need a food bank, you know where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And whether we're in that climate or not, it still just goes along the ethos of not wasting things. And like you say, with Toy Swap, borrowing instruments to see if you really do have the patience to learn how to play one before you invest in one. And for not just low-income families, but just for anybody, there's so many benefits to just touching base with you guys first to see if you have it. Same like I would never have thought about a gazebo, and yet over the years I've owned gazebos that I barely used, and I think one gazebo I had, I don't think I ever bothered going to get it off the person I lent it to. It's just like, you've done me a favour. I mean, I'll pretend that I want it, but I don't.
You've got a big space in your garage now if you don't have a gazebo.
This is it, because you buy them because they're kind of useful, but you don't actually use them as much as you think you're going to use them.
Mm-hmm.
But you've typically bought them because you're about to do something. It's like, I'll get a gazebo. And, before you know it, you spend, you can get them for sort of 60, 70 quid, but you end up buying the one that's 150 quid because you want it to be that little bit easier to open and pop up and stuff like that. And then if you're lucky, one summer, you don't use it again. Paddling pools have got to be another one, sure.
Yeah, so that's so interesting. So I've just had someone actually request a paddling pool, but we don't have one yet. So I'm going to stick that on the wish list and see if anyone's got a spare one that they no longer want. Because, as soon as the weather picks up and it's hot, which I think it is going to be this weekend, people want paddling pools. They want fans. And a lot of the time, those are the things that sell out in shops.
Yeah. So who can we approach then to help get the word out a little bit more?
Who can we approach? Yeah, I don't know. Do you know?
Who do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying, because I mean, people like me who do podcasts, that's fantastic. But my podcasts get listened to. They actually, funnily enough, I found out they do get listened to. I've seen a thing. So I'm not very good at checking my stats because I just do them because I like doing them. But they do actually get listened to around the world, as it turns out. Yeah, I was quite surprised. I had this thing. I put my podcast on YouTube as well, obviously, but it also goes on a thing called Podbean that just distributes it to like all over the place, like everything from Spotify, Apple. It even does iHeartRadio, which you can't get in this country, so I can't even listen to my own podcast through that platform. But I've had over 10,000 downloads.
Wow! Imagine if someone on the other side of the world goes, I like the sound of a library of things, and then sets them up in their own.
Well, this is what I remember you talking to me about last time. It was you. Was it someone in Bath or Bristol or something?
So there's one in Frome that's been going for about the last 6 years. There's no other libraries of things in Wiltshire. Although I was approached by someone from Devisers the other day who would like to have a bit of a chat with me because they're wanting to set something up in there. So, because I remember that was one of your goals as well. You'd like it to kind of spread, look, very much like libraries used to be. There used to be mobile libraries. Can you imagine that a mobile share Salisbury? It just goes around villages. See, right. So now we also need a van. A walk-on van, if anyone's got an old vehicle they don't want that's registered, MOT'd and taxed. Love it. Well, saying that, I've actually recently bought a van, but I don't think I would be allowed to put items in it. So we're converting it into a camper. Because I'm one of these people that watches all the van life videos on YouTube, and I'm like, I want that life.
Can you see that there?
Yeah.
That was number 2. That was the first one of 2. I converted 2 vans to campers.
Did you?
Yeah. And my second one was completely off grid. Fridge, toilet, solar panels, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the life. That's what I want to do. Like that's the end goal. We just need to make Share Salisbury kind of be able to exist without me being there, and then I can go off to Europe in my van. And
what van have you got?
It's a Peugeot Boxer L3H2, so it's quite a long one.
No, that's perfect. Can you stand up in that?
Yes, yeah. You stand up in it. You can lie down horizontally, so we're going to have a fixed bed and be able to. Yeah, so while I have a van, I'm not going to be allowed to put all sorts of random stuff in it and drive it around. It'll be full of other stuff, but
you'll enjoy that. Yeah,
yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I did. I done all over the southwest. I've done especially when I was surfing. I've surfed all the way from the Algarve to Cherbourg. I've done the whole west coast of Europe, and I've driven half of that in a van.
Mm-hmm. There's something like so freeing about having a van and not having a house full of, I mean, I'd still have a house full of stuff, but you've got
teddy bears and
yeah, they're not coming with.
No.
I might have to, yeah. That'll be
it's
fun.
If you like it, there's nothing else will touch it.
Mm-hmm.
It is, like I said, I got rid of my vans because I just wasn't using them enough, and they were too small to be practical for camping long term, but also small enough you could drive them every day and go to work and back in them. But there is, I've seen some great places that I would never have seen otherwise. And I've been to some fantastic places that you would never, that just isn't on any tourist map. And I don't know why, but the one that springs to mind is we were on our way back, me and my friend, and we were driving up through northern Spain. I think we might have been going back to the ferry at Santander if it was northern Spain. And we got to the top of these mountains on a glacier, and we were just dressed in shorts and t-shirts. So we quickly jumped out, had some pictures taken in front of a glacier, and then on the way back down, we discovered these old Roman baths that was still all the hot springs that come up, steaming water. Yeah.
Wow.
So we just took our t-shirts off and jumped in with all the other people that were camping there, and it's just because we decided to drive back through the mountains.
And you never would have seen that if you got a flight out and you got accommodation or a hotel. You would have gone to the main touristy bits, and there's just that. Opens up the world. Yeah. Yeah.
There's mountains, rivers. There's places that I've seen and been, and never would have seen it. And ironically, we did the same in California. We hired this massive, proper, like 30-foot long. It's the size of a single decker bus. All right. And we drove from San Francisco to San Diego. Was the original plan supposed to be surfing, but after a week, my friend had broken his toes surfing, so he was then in this big boot, so he couldn't surf anymore. So once we got to San Diego, we came back up through Yosemite Mountain and Park, and just because we can't surf, so we may as well. There's nothing worse if you can't surf than being by the beach watching your mate surf. So it was just so we came back up through Yosemite Park and just stayed there for a few days by these lakes and everything like that. Again, and you'd never have seen it, would never have gone there. And there's places you can go that you just wouldn't go if you weren't in a camper.
Yeah. Oh, the dream.
It is. You'll love it. You will absolutely love it. You'll absolutely love it. It's been
such a process, like building it as well. You don't actually realise when you start how much of a massive task it is. And even like we're probably about halfway through. We've got insulation in, and we've got the floor in, and we've put half of the walls up. And now it's kind of like the fun bits of where do we want our cupboards? Where's the bed gonna be? And what tiles are we gonna have?
If you go on Instagram and look at Beagle Van Life Adventures, that's my friend Stacey and Dean, who I was in Munich with, and they have a converted Mercedes van, which Dean did himself. And if you contact Stacey, she will tell you everything you want to know.
Oh, love it. I'm going to follow them.
I'll send her a message and tell her to follow Share Salisbury and that you're interested in finding out about the van.
Yeah, love it.
Because she's crazy about, her and Dean are crazy about it, and they completely built theirs, rebuilt it and everything.
Yeah.
There's loads of people I could put you in touch with if you want to know about how to build vans and stuff like that. Because I still got friends that all got their own vans. It was just me, I got rid of mine.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything. That's a good question actually, do you do tents?
Yes, we got tents.
You got tents?
Yeah. You can chuck a tent in the back of their van, and you can still do van.
I was thinking for me, because I don't have anything to sleep in now, so if I need a tent, I know where to come and get one.
Yeah, we've got a big 8-man. We've got an 8-man and a 6-man, and the 6-man is like just as big as the 8-man. So yeah, there's some decent tents we've got, which I thought would be borrowed more than they have done. But I think last year it was a case of not many people knew that we had them.
Yeah.
And then this year they're kind of booked out kind of every other weekend really, which is cool.
So going back to who do we need to speak to get your name out there more?
Oh yeah. Everyone.
Yeah, but that's the truth, isn't it? It's I'm just thinking like have the journal, Salisbury Journal, helped you?
So they did, before we opened, they did put an article in the journal to say share Salisbury's coming to Salisbury, and yeah, that was good. So we had a bit of an article. We had lots of people kind of seeing us in there. More recently, I've kind of sent them a couple of things, article about Toy Swap and some other stuff, and they haven't published it. So I don't know if they're maybe not the right route to go down, or maybe it wasn't quite interesting or catchy enough, or potentially there could have been other things going on at the same time. But yeah, do you know what I find really positive is that probably about 9 times out of 10, when people come back and they hand something back that they've borrowed for the weekend or the week or whatever, they go, I've told everyone about you. I've told my mum, I've told my friends, like we had a party, I told everyone. So I think what's really nice and what I think has helped to build that base of people who know we exist, know what we have, know where we are, is the people who are spreading the word for us. And I find that really really positive and heartwarming that there's people out there, and you see it on Facebook as well. Someone would be like, I don't suppose anyone's got a this, that or the other that I could borrow, and I always get tagged. There's always people that go, oh, share Salisbury. So
what about Love Salisbury, the radio show?
Yeah, I don't think I've contacted them.
I know a guy called Rossi. He does the Saturday show on Oddstock Radio. Oddstock Hospital Radio, so I can get in touch with him because I know he has guests on, because I've been a guest on his show.
Yeah. So I've been on Oddstock Hospital, Gillian Friends.
Okay.
I think that's it. What's it called? So he works at Tesco, and they've donated some stuff to us from Tesco, like the old wine glasses that they used to do for free, but I don't think they're doing that since lockdown. So they donated a bunch of glasses to us, and we've had like some other things. But yeah, I think where he does the radio show on Oddstock as well, I've been on there a couple of times, but not for a while, I don't think. So yeah. Definitely.
What about disability aids, wheelchairs, Zimmer frames and stuff like that? Do you take them? Yeah,
we have one wheelchair, which has 2 future reservations, but hasn't actually been borrowed just yet. Zimmer frame, we don't have any Zimmer frames, but that could potentially be something useful, definitely.
Okay. So, before we finish up, what would you like people to take away?
I'm terrible about it. Right, so I think if you are in Salisbury and you haven't yet been to come and see us, come and say hi and have a look at all the random collection of things that we have available. If you want to, you can always sign up as a member for Share Salisbury, which helps to pay the bills, pay our insurance, get new things in for people. And if you're not in Salisbury and you're somewhere else in the world, look into what a library of things is and think about setting one up in your local community, because I think they're just, it's such a nice thing to be able to see people having access to things that they might need, but without having to purchase them and spend money if they might not be able to afford them, or even if you can afford them but you just don't want to have that thing sat on your shelf collecting dust for the other 9 months of the year that you don't need it, for example. And especially kind of at this this point in time when things are getting more expensive and people are trying to scrimp and save, it really is, it's really useful, and it's been lovely to meet some of the people who have come in to share Salisbury, because we have a great community in Salisbury, I think, and there's lots of lovely people around, and I've got to meet loads of them now, which is cool.
It is a nice place. We're much luckier than people think we are.
Yeah.
I think Salisbury's a fantastic place. And if there's any businesses out there that just happen to want to lend you a shop front, anybody that wants to donate anything or would like to sponsor advertising or knows anyone that can spread the word, get in touch. And my last question, which is a random one I've started asking people, if you could be any place in time, anywhere, anywhen, what would you be driving, and what music would you be listening to?
Oh, this is a really tricky one. Okay, any point in time. So I'd probably go back to like the Tudors or something like that. I know it was a bit gross back then, but
no, that's fine.
I'd love to see what life was like, because it's just going to be completely different, and just to be able to see into the past and smell it, and probably be a bit gross, but experience something that's just completely different. I mean, the clothes, they were beautiful, and I mean, probably you'd be listening to some weird Tudor music, but it's probably all right to dance to, you know. So yeah, I'd probably go back to Tudor period, because
whereabouts?
Interest. Oh, where? Oh, it would have to be a castle somewhere. I mean, I don't know which one exactly, but one where, because the clothes would be something else, and it would probably, hopefully, smell a little bit less pooey in a castle along the streets lined with human feces. But you know,
I'll tell you where would be interesting. Salisbury would be interested in Tudor times.
Oh yeah,
because you'd be amazed how much of it you'd still recognise.
Yeah,
The street layout hasn't changed, and some of the buildings haven't changed.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true.
If you walked into Cathedral Close, it would still look the same.
Yeah. Apart from it wouldn't have the new sculptures, but you know, the rest of it would be.
Yeah, but you would recognise it. And also the Red Lion Hotel hasn't changed. It has been around since 1200s in its current sort of state. You know, as you go through the gates where the carriage archway is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's those cobbles. Do you know what I mean? As soon as you said the Tudors and you were singing, I was thinking Salisbury. It would be cool because you would recognise some of it.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's exactly where I'd go. Because you would. You're right.
Holger Cross would be there.
The buildings, yeah.
The Market Square would be there. I mean, I don't think the Guildhall would, but you'd have Cross Keys Chequer would be there.
Yeah. So I don't know when it was, but the Guildhall used to be a completely different building a bit in front of it. And I wonder if that was around then.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And do you think the Odeon? The Odeon's pretty old. That
potentially would be there. There's the cafe, I think it's still a cafe, on the corner of Endless Street and Blue Ball Road. And it used to be called 1210. Might still be called the 1210. And that's because that's when it was built. So that would be there.
Yeah. Oh, if only we could go back in time.
Yeah. That would be... Salisbury would be fascinating in Tudor times. Because, like I said, a lot... Ox Road and all of that. Ox Road and all that would still be there. It would all be there. Those buildings would all be there. Wouldn't have glass fronts, but it would still be there.
Yeah.
And lastly, when you look back over the last sort of 12, 18 months, what have you got right?
That's a very interesting question. What have I got right? I think so. I've made some good connections just with some really good people in Salisbury. I think that the things that we've got right, I mean, we have, I'm quite proud of our social media following. I think that's kind of, done a lot of goodness in getting the message out there. I quite like the website, which I learned and built myself. So I think I've done an all right job there. And we've managed to have things available for people to borrow when they've needed them. Some of the time, if people ask for something that we don't have, we've managed to fulfill that as well. So we've managed to kind of source stuff. I mean, we're still going, so we must have done something right.
But that's it. If you look at it along the way, you've made some very good decisions along the way. So so what it is over a period of time, you watch YouTube videos, and it's always 10 things that you shouldn't do, 10 things I see that are wrong, blah blah blah. And I realised after watching a few of these, it's just like you haven't learned anything. You've just come away with, oh God, I do all of those 10 things, and that's all wrong. But you haven't learned what you need to do that's right. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I like asking people, what have you done well? What have you done right? Because but you're successfully running a business that's benefiting the community.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Why it's such a difficult question to answer as well. It's like, but it reminds me, so when we spoke before, I think it was titled Speaking to Businesswoman Eva, and I kind of went, what, me? Is that what? I'm a businesswoman? I don't. And it's just that kind of, now we're a year.
Well, we'll just have to carry on. Can you hear me all right now?
Yeah, every now and again it kind of goes, like when you're talking. So I don't know if that's me or you. I'm presuming maybe you at this point.
I'm going to say it's a complete failure of equipment and stuff at my end. But
okay.
So, right. So we're pretty much, where were we? You were just explaining. What were you just telling me about? What did you do right?
Yeah. What did I do right? So I'm quite happy with the social media following, and I think that's a good way of getting people to be able to see what it is that we've got and remind people and just be in people's memories at the point in which they need things. So I think that we've done right, and I think quite chuffed with the website design, which I learned how to design a website and created it, and happy with that. And we're still around, so we've had enough people coming in and borrowing things to still be in existence. So that's something we've done right as well. And
that's good. But it's like I said, because this has probably been one of the most difficult periods in time to try and start up a business and try and get up and running. And the fact you're still here and it's continuing to grow, and you still have the energy to think of new things you'd like to try, that's a testament to how well you've done.
Thanks.
That's all right.
It's been a journey, but it's been a fun, positive journey. And I do feel like a completely different person to the person that spoke to you back in April last year, which is all of it. Not only have we been there for people when they need things, and we've helped out the community if they can't afford the things that they need, it's helped develop me in a way, because there's a lot of things along this journey that I've learned or picked up, and I feel like it's been good for me as well in a very selfish way.
No, but that's the best things in life are the ones where you grow and are enjoying yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's that cliche, isn't it? If you do something you're passionate about, it never feels like work.
Yeah, this is it. And I got made redundant over lockdown, which sounds like a negative thing, but actually is very positive, because it means that I wouldn't have opened Share Salisbury if I hadn't. I would have still been working a Monday to Friday 9 to 5. I've developed other skills and I'm self-employed, so I do things like designing or things like that on the side. So I don't think I would ever go back to a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, because there's too many things that I'm enjoying about what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, positive, I think.
And that's a great place to start. Stop, sorry. That's perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. I hope you've got the rest of that recording. I don't think I could.